And voila, the Jews are behind the pandemics, etc. And whatsoever, the Rothschild being responsible of coronavirus. And this is, of course, a so-called Iraqi political scientists who will tell this. And more or less we can stop here, maybe next one. And then you can understand that radical anti-Semitism is exactly as the same function than anti-Semitism. It served the purpose of explaining what went wrong. And for instance, I will stop here. There was a debate on Egyptian TV, and the sheikh claims that there is a Jewish plot to decrease Egypt's population. And the political scientists said, no, the plot is to increase it. So it means whatever it is, the Jews are responsible of the misfortune of the world.
So what do we need to do? Well, we need to understand democracy better. We need to understand protection of minority rights. We need to understand constitutional rights as well. We need to understand that human rights are always going to be unpopular because the whole point of having human rights is to protect the unpopular. And we need to understand what should be kept out of day-to-day politics, in some way rise above it. We have to go beyond thinking about friend and enemy in the way that Carl Schmitt argued for.
The policy of forgetting Babi Yar, and that's why I present it in this forum, was clearly underpinned by anti-Semitism. Stalin had harsh anti-Semitic policies, both persecuting Jewish cultural activists and dismantling all Jewish, all existing, hitherto existing Jewish cultural institutions. Khrushchev was a more, I would say, a more traditional, folksy, the peasant background, anti-Semite, who made a lot of inappropriate, we would say today, a lot of politically incorrect comments about Jews, their greediness. But also in the 60s, we see a time when there is a renewed attack against Jews, dismantling of synagogues, etc. So it's interesting, two things that we see here with Viktor Nekrasov. Then we will move to Yevgeny Yevtushenko, who was a more famous case. We see here non-Jews who care about Babi Yar, and also we see the rise for the first time ever of protest, dissent or dissidents within the Soviet Union.
In March 1928, Hassan al-Banna founded the Muslim Brotherhood in Cairo. This is their creed. Allah is our goal. The Prophet is our leader. The Quran is our law. You might think, okay, so far so good, but then we have jihad is our way. Jihad, of course, means killing. It means purifying. The Muslim Brotherhood was heavily influenced by Salafism, which is a purist movement. The jihadists are purists, as the Nazis were purists. Beware of people who want to purify humanity. And it's in many parts of the world, the contagion that humanity has to be purified of is Jews and Judaism.
And so where one finds anti-Semitism today is amongst younger people, and particularly where a swastika is painted, not on shop windows or at railroad stations or even at sports stadiums, but on university campuses, on Jewish fraternity houses, and on banners on campus demonstrations. And what's the situation in Europe? This survey that we did both in 2015 and 2018, we surveyed these several hundred Jewish leaders, community leaders, and they were asked who were their allies in the fight against anti-Semitism, almost, always, or most of the time. A majority, interestingly enough, 54%, said their national governments were supportive, while only 13% said intellectuals and academics acted as friends of the Jews. Conversely, when they were asked who they saw as a threat to Jewish communities, always or sometimes, 33% of the Jewish leaders in Western Europe cited Western European intellectuals and academics.
The Jewish community throughout South America, throughout Europe, and certainly in other parts of the world, have this sense of being under siege, they're being under siege from white supremacy, from nationalism, the sort of the right-wing anti-Semitism, from political Islam, as David Patterson so eloquently laid out for us in a short period of time, this amalgamation of European anti-Semitism and even Nazism. That is the ideological foundation. It's not the periphery, it's the foundation of political Islam.